As we get everyone back into the main room, I promise you, I feel like I'm in the Jetsons. Everyone magically appears. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the sessions thus far. I have learned some valuable skills from my toolbox. We will now be hearing from the president of the Louisville Urban League, Ms. Sadiqa Reynolds. She does a lot in our community and for our community, and she has a special message for us, followed by Mr. Michael Gritton, who is the president of Kentuckiana Works, executive director of Kentuckiana Works, and he will share some insights for us as well.
Hi, I'm Sadiqa Reynolds, President and CEO of the Louisville Urban League, and I welcome you all to this really important event. I understand right now with COVID-19 and everything else going on in the world, trying to find employment is definitely a challenge, and we are honored to partner with MSD to help you and to help our community. I hope that you all know that the Urban League's focus is jobs, justice, education, health, and housing. That's the work that we do every day for this community. Obviously, there are lots of other things that are encompassed in with that: jobs, justice, education, health, and housing. But those are the highlights of the work that we do every day. And so, on the job side, if you come to the Urban League, we want to help you with your resume. We know that in some cases, people do need help with resume writing. We're here for that. But we also have job training. And then, of course, we have employers that can be helpful for you in your search. I think it's so important for you to tap into a workforce development agency. I can't say that enough. I think sometimes we all think, we can do it and we can do it alone, or maybe in some cases we feel a little bit embarrassed about needing the help. Please don't. Times are tough right now. This is not the time to worry about what anybody else is thinking. This is about you and your family and how you expand on the opportunities to grow your salary, your pay base, your ability to take care of the people who are counting on you. And so to the extent that we can help you with that, please know that we will. If you are looking for employment and you need help with that, we're here to help you with that. If you are looking for employment, but you're also having some issues with housing, we know a lot of people are facing evictions right now. There's a website, stopmyeviction.org. You can go to that website and they can help you. But understand that if your landlord has not filed an eviction notice yet, you're probably going to get pushed to the back of the line, because right now the focus is on people who are immediately scheduled for eviction. And I think there have been some things in place that have slowed some of that down, but I know it's still a burden. It's still a stress. I understand that. My team understands that. So you can get online at the Louisville Urban League's website, and we are happy to help, whether it's directing you to some other organization or doing what we can at the league. I always tell everybody we don't have a monopoly on all of the things that are wonderful in this community. There are a lot of strong nonprofits in this community. So if there's somebody else that can help you faster or better than we can, we will definitely direct you there. But I think the Louisville Urban League is a great place to start. And our job is really, we're just here to support you and to do anything we can to make this community better. There are some of you who are employed and you just want to transition into a different career. I can understand that. I respect that. And we've all done that at some point in our lives. And congratulations to you for having the courage to come to this session and to decide that you'd like to have another opportunity. I'm very glad to help you. And I'm sure that MSD is happy to see you. Of course, from the Urban League perspective, we're always focused on increasing the number of Black people in business. That's just the bottom line. I mean, we want to make sure that every company, every organization, every government agency is represented by the people in the community. And so often we don't see that. I think MSD has done a very good job of doing that, but we always are encouraging, pushing more. And please understand that does not mean that the Louisville Urban League doesn't help everybody. We absolutely do. We will help anyone who comes to us, regardless of race, nationality, creed, religious beliefs. We help anybody. That being said, we're a civil rights organization. And so we were created when people were moving from the South to the North and looking for jobs. I mean, that's what the Louisville Urban League was created for. And so with the Great Migration came the National Urban League and then the Louisville Urban League. So we stay focused on our original mission. And so we are always making sure that in every way, in every space, that we're fighting for people who don't often have voices at the table. And I think that's so important, especially now in Louisville, when you see things as complicated as they are around just race relations and or the lack thereof, I guess, in some cases. So I just want you all to be encouraged. I know that it is so easy for us all to feel overwhelmed and to sometimes probably even just feel like, we're drowning in it all. And I want to say to you, take a deep breath and know that you are not in it alone, and that everybody, not everybody, but there are a lot of us that are fighting for you and with you. And there are opportunities now. There are a lot of opportunities in our community, and this is just one of them. So please do everything they tell you to do. Fill out that application, follow up, check it, double check it. Be prepared for the drug test and all of the things that come along with gainful employment and moving up in your career. Again, for those of you who are transitioning out of one career into another during a pandemic. So shout out to you for the courage to do that. But, in a way, I think this is the time. I think this is the time for change. This is a good day to decide, I never want to go back to normal. I don't want to be what it used to be. I want something different. I think this is a good time to do that. So I am proud of you. I am cheering for you. I am here at the Louisville Urban League, always in partnership with every organization and every company that wants to partner with us to help people like you. Thank you so much for everything you do in this city to make it better and to make it what it is. And we certainly have a long way to go to be what we need to be. But I think people like you help us to do that. And so, again, I am Sadiqa Reynolds. I'm the president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League. Our focus is on jobs, justice, education, health, and housing. And I really didn't get into the other things that we do, but you all, I know you know this, right? We're the oldest HUD certified agency in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So once you get this job or you get this promotion or whatever's happening in your life and you want to think about buying a house, come see us, talk to our counselors. And if you go through our housing counseling and the city has money, then you'll get that down payment assistance money. So, and we're working now to make sure that we have a pathway to ownership for people like you in the West End and across the community. So please, please reach out to us for that. Or generally, we have the largest free tax preparation site in the city, well, actually in the state. Right now, I guess nobody's really doing anything on site for taxes, but you can drop them off when it's time to do that. So we're still doing that kind of work. We have got a lot of things going on. We've still got after school programs, blah, blah, blah. There's tons of things. Check out our website, lul.org. But the bottom line is all of you all are here right now focused on workforce development and opportunities with MSD. And we want you to know MSD is a good partner and they are going to try to get you on. So do everything you can to comply so you can get in there. All right. And then you can make a great donation to the league or one of the other phenomenal nonprofits in this city. Thank you so much for everything you do and for rising to the occasion and for keeping your head on straight in the midst of everything that the world and this city is throwing at us. I just want you to know I see you, I feel you, and I'm right here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sadiqa, for the encouraging words. Mr. Gritton, We would love to hear about Kentucky Works and all the offerings that you provide. We know you do a lot.
Sharice, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, first of all, I'm mad at you for making me follow Sadiqa Reynolds, who is obviously a charismatic and wonderful speaker, and a charismatic and wonderful human being. Luckily for us, she is one of the board members of Kentuckiana Works. And for anybody out there who doesn't know, Kentuckiana Works is something called a workforce development board. So there's some federal money that comes to a set of leaders, and they use that money to try to solve as many workforce challenges as we can here in Louisville and across our 7-county area. I do want people to know Sadiqa's advice is totally right. If you want to start out by going to the Louisville Urban League or to another great partner of ours, Goodwill of Kentucky, they do great work trying to help people put resumes together and apply for jobs. But I also want to make sure you know that we run things called the Kentucky Career Centers, which are totally free, funded by your taxpayer dollars. And we've got professional staff who are certified resume prep people. They work all day long, every day with people that are looking to do job searches, looking to reinvent themselves, looking to move from one career to another, particularly in difficult economic times like the ones we're in now. We used to have them physically at 6th and Cedar Street, which is the one people typically call the unemployment office. We've got one at the NIA Center, and we've got them in Shelby County as well. So we can help you, and you can find information about how to connect to those career counselors now that we're delivering services virtually because of COVID on our website at KentuckyAndWorks.org. There are lots of easy ways to set up appointments, talk to them by phone, set up a Zoom meeting with people. We can do all of those kinds of things. I think today's event is really designed to show anyone who's interested that there are great careers at these utility companies in Louisville and at utility companies around the country. Part of what's great about MSD and Louisville Water is that these are local jobs. You heard earlier that these companies have been in existence. I think Louisville Water is now coming up on 150 or 160 years of being in business. They're not jobs that are going to be outsourced. Someone always is going to be in Louisville trying to work on Louisville Water and Louisville Sewers. And they provide good pay and great career opportunities to move up over time. So they really do represent good opportunities for people in a challenging economy. Those career center staff are here to help if there's something we can do to do that. The other thing I thought was really compelling in the earlier part of the presentation was Tony Parrott's example about getting into this field in part through a college internship or an exposure that way. We partner with MSD on our summer job program that we call Summer Works. It's been one of Mayor Fisher's signature programs throughout his 10 years so far as mayor. We're very proud to do that. And I want to keep encouraging MSD and Louisville Water to work with us on that. It's a great way to get people exposed to those kinds of careers, just like Tony got that door open to him many years ago. And oftentimes if we can get a high school age kid or a young college person in the door, they may end up having the same kind of experience that Mr. Parrott had later. So we believe very much in the power of those kind of summer works opportunities and internships as well. So really, we just want anybody that has attended this event who is interested in trying to find a job at one of these companies, if we can help, all they have to do is reach out and let us know. Again, they can find out how to access help from those career center staff on the KentuckyAndWorks.org website. I think there's a big button that says for job seekers, and all you have to do is click on it. And my email address is listed there as well. If you need help and aren't getting it, reach out to me directly and we'll make sure you find it. Hopefully that's good enough for now, Sharice. Again, it's hard to follow Sadiqa because she's so enthusiastic, but I think her message is really clear, and we share it as a partner with the Urban League. There are lots of people out who are ready to help you. And LG&E, I should also be mentioning, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave them out, is also another great partner in this work. I mean, those utility jobs as well aren't going anywhere, are great companies with great job opportunities, great pay and benefits, and great opportunities to move up. And so we're happy to try to promote jobs at all of those utility companies.
Thank you, Mr. Gritton.
Yep.
We appreciate your words of encouragement. And thank you for your service that you and Sadiqa provide to our community. It is well needed, and especially during these trying times that we are in right now. And I cannot imagine looking for a job right now during COVID. So thank you for I guess, revamping and adjusting during this pandemic to make sure we are still able to use your services.
We're proud to do it and
appreciate
appreciate being invited to participate. Thanks, Sharice.
Thank you. Appreciate you being part of the task force and being part of the committee to pull this all together. You and your staff, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you. Thank you. For the remainder of the event, we will be focusing in on this one room here. So we will not be moving over to a breakout session, but we will have our utility experts, our leaders from our utility sector, to provide you with a presentation called Tools for Success. So you've heard in our breakout sessions, we've been talking about how do you interview during a COVID environment? What does your resume need to look like? How do you align that with the position that you're applying for? So now we will hear from our experts, Lynn Fleming, Director of HR here at Louisville MSD, Terrence Spence, Vice President of HR at Louisville Water, and Ashley Kratz with LG&E. Welcome all. We can't wait to hear your presentation.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, Terrence, and share the screen here so that we can get started.
Sounds good. Again, welcome everybody to this event. And as Ashley's pulling up the screen.
So it's saying it's disabled from me to share the screen. So if Dan Sullivan is here, if you could open that door for me, that'd be great.
It is open.
All right.
There you go.
There we are. All right. And as Sharice mentioned, tools for success. And what we're going to do is quickly touch on some resume writing and interviewing skills tips and kind of best tips in those two particular areas. So again, welcome everybody to the session. And we'll jump right in. I'll kick off with the first slide, and then Ashley and I are going to rotate slides, and Lynn will jump in with additional information as well. All right, so first question, what a good resume can do. Obviously, a resume, what you want a resume to do is to immediately grab the attention of the hiring manager or whomever is going through the process, whether it's HR or the hiring manager. On average, you have about 6 to 10 seconds to grab that person's attention. So you want a resume that provides the direct information that they're looking for versus having them scan through a lot of verbiage or pages before they really get to what they're looking for, or they may push it aside and go to the next. It can get you the interview, and it advertises you in seconds. Again, most times when positions are advertised, the employer or the HR department or the hiring manager will get hundreds of resumes. So you want yours to jump out immediately, grab the attention so they can look at it in more detail.
Yeah, so how do you get that attention? Well, so the best way to do that is to tailor your resume for every position to which you apply. So as Terrence mentioned, we're receiving at least 100 resumes per position. So you've got 99 other people that you're competing with. So you want to grab that manager's attention quickly. So one of the ways to do that is to make sure that your resume clearly reflects the skill set that you're bringing to the table and to show that it is a match for that job to which you're applying to, because that's ultimately what we're looking for. Do you have that skill set and experience that we're looking for to fill that job? So this is where the job posting and the job description is really going to be helpful for you to tailor that resume to grab attention. So when you're looking at a job posting or a description, pay close attention to what is listed under the minimum qualifications, because those are the things that you have to have in order for us to consider you. So for example, at LG&E, where I work, we currently have a customer service rep position that is posted for Louisville, hint, hint, people. And one of the minimum qualifications is that you need to have at least 6 months of customer service experience. So we would want you to show that very clearly on your resume so it jumps out and we can see that you match that description. Throughout this whole morning, you have heard so much about soft skills. We also could consider those transferable skills. So maybe you're looking to go into a position where you really might not have much experience, but you have all of these other transferable skills like communication, organization, attention to details. Those are the things that you also want to list on your resume that's going to make you stand out. And one other thing too is show quantitative results. So what this means is any time that you can add numbers or metrics to an accomplishment on your resume, that's going to help as well. So let's say, for example, you worked as a customer service representative at McDonald's and you handled cash during your shift. If you could tell us maybe you handled up to $5,000 worth of cash each shift, well, that stands out more than just saying that you handled money. So anytime that you can add numbers or metrics, makes it more powerful. And I also want to say is, remember, this says refresh your resume. It doesn't say start your resume. So we always suggest have your resume ready to go. Have it ready because, as Terrence mentioned too, we've got a lot of positions to fill, and sometimes those postings might only be up for a few days or a couple of weeks. So you don't want to waste time starting from scratch. So get a good one with the bones ready to go, and then just tweak it.
All right. So this next slide, or this next page that we're looking at, where it says, let's take it from the top, but it's more about getting into the anatomy of a resume. And some of the points I want to cover real quickly is, for example, the beginning of a resume, a lot of times you have at the very top of your resume is the contact information. You will have, as it states there, your address, city, state, email address, and as Lynn mentioned earlier, be sure your resume contains an appropriate email address. I know sometimes people have a very colorful or interesting email address, but it may not be the most appropriate from a business or an employment standpoint. So be sure that you follow those guidelines that Lynn mentioned earlier. And then other contact information and the phone number. Most people now have a cell number. Some people still have multiple numbers, a cell and maybe a landline or different phone number. The objective statements, as stated there, they are a little outdated. Objective statements used to be pretty popular to talk about what you wanted to do. Like you want to work with a reputable organization and eventually become, versus it should really be a summary statement, because that summary statement is at the very top, normally at the very top of your resume, and that is the first thing that hiring manager or HR or whomever may see. So that gives you the opportunity to summarize the resume, to summarize your experience. It talks about, as it states there, 20 years as a lineman of experience, electrician, electrical distribution, and so forth, supervisory skills. So it gives you a quick summary opportunity to outline the entire resume. That way the person who's reading it they can kind of get a better glimpse of, oh, okay, well, this person has 20 years of experience. I'll go on and read the remainder of the resume to see how other experience aligns in this resume. So you want to be sure that you have a summary statement that pretty much outlines the resume and is succinct or aligns with the job description, as Ashley said earlier. You can replace that, again, as I said, with your summary, and then also list your specialized skills. And that's important. You want to be sure that you're listing skills such as whether you have a certain license or certification, you have software experience. A lot of times if you're working with an organization, let's say, for example, as he mentioned a moment ago about the customer service position, maybe there's a certain system that they're using in customer service that a prospective candidate may have experience with. So you want to be sure, to list things like Microsoft Office experience and other certifications, maybe a CDL, driver's license, forklift experience. Those areas, again, this is a real quick snapshot. It gives the reader a real quick, clear, and concise understanding of your experience and how they match up against what they're looking for.
So this is always kind of confusing for some folks. Do they put education next on a resume, or does employment come next? Well, here's a real easy rule of thumb. If you have graduated or completed a degree more than 5 years ago, then your education comes after employment, because we would be more interested in seeing your work history if it's been over 5 years since you've graduated or completed a degree. But when you do put that education section on your resume, what do you include? Well, you always want to include your highest level completed. So if you've completed, your highest level is a high school diploma or a GED, you still want to make sure that you include that on your resume. If you have gone on to complete an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, then absolutely include those. If you do have a college degree, no need to also include your high school, because what do you have to have in order to get a college degree? Well, you have to have a high school diploma or GED, so you can leave that off. Graduation dates aren't necessary, especially if it's been a long time since you've been in school. But if you are currently in school, obtaining a degree, then you can put anticipated graduation date and list that date. Or if you're a new grad and you just completed your degree, then you can include that date as well. Terrence mentioned putting certifications in that skills section, and that is absolutely correct. They can also be listed here in the education section. It's okay to put the same thing in multiple places on your resume, because then it's going to be sure to be seen. And here on the screen are some examples of how different folks have listed their education on their resume.
All right, the other part of the anatomy of a resume is the employment experience. The employment experience, again, that is an outline of your work experience, previous employers, duties, responsibilities, goals, all those things should be listed. And as you can see there, in the example, it's in a bullet point fashion. First of all, you want to be sure that you list the name of your employers. You want to be sure to list the name of your employer and be sure that you are listing the accurate dates of your employment. One of the things that I've seen is a situation, or have been situations, where the dates weren't exactly correct. Maybe they were off multiple months, or even maybe just years. And when an employer is doing a background check, or they're verifying your employment and the dates aren't correct, that could actually knock you out of contention. Because again, the resume is your first impression, and you want to be as accurate as possible. You want to make sure you have correct spelling. There are no grammatical errors or anything like that. Listing your work experience in chronological order, month, year, and begin with, you start out with your most recent, and then you go to your past or your historical employment experiences and the different positions that you've held. Don't list day-to-day tasks. What you want to do is list, as it states, significant accomplishments. You want to list things like you exceeded quarterly goals. If you're in sales, you've exceeded your quarterly sales goal by 25%. You consistently exceeded productivity goals, whether you're in customer service. Maybe you're supposed to make 15 calls an hour, but you're making 25 calls an hour. Maybe you receive customer service awards. So you want to list things of that nature, not each and everything that you do in terms of, receive incoming calls and make outgoing calls. You want to talk about things that are more responsibility and overall responsibility driven. As I said earlier, you use list skills such as second languages, technical experience, software. I said a few moments ago, if you have Microsoft Office skills, meaning Word, Excel, PowerPoint, things of that nature, definitely list those particular skills. And if you have other skills such as PeopleSoft or other specific software skills, be sure to list those things as well. Use bullet points. And the reason you want to be very quick, clear, and concise, it should be basically one sentence that explains what that particular responsibility was that you're listing under that particular job title that you held with previous employers. Use data or metrics to showcase your results. Again, these are accomplishments and areas of achievements. Again, if there were goals and things like that established for your previous or your current position, you want to talk about how have you done against those particular goals. Again, you want to use bullet points. You want to be very succinct and specific. One of the other things I want to mention as well is most resumes really shouldn't go beyond a 2-page process. You know, for the most part, 1 page is great. Sometimes if you have vast experience or a long history of work experience with multiple employers, yes, having 2 pages would be fine. But again, remember, the HR or the hiring manager's time is at a premium because they're looking at 100, 200, 300 resumes for just one particular position. And if they're recruiting for multiple, their time is at a premium. Again, accomplishments, special projects, special teams maybe you worked on, things that you may have accomplished overall, be sure to list those things as well. And be sure to use the correct tense. If it's for a current job, you use current tense. Such as if you look where it says team leader, line construction and maintenance is current tense. I supervise a team, develop and lead, perform, versus a previous employer. If you look at the title underneath that where it says line technician A, assigned management, experienced overseeing. So be sure to use the correct tense when you are drafting your resume as well.
All right, so then what comes next? Well, we've covered the biggies, education and employment. So old school resumes might have included hobbies and interests. Well, we don't include those anymore. That's really not going to make you more qualified for the position. So what's going to help you stand out against all of the competition that has also applied for that job that you want is list significant volunteer or community service experience. So this has to be significant. So just baking cupcakes for the PTA bake sale one time isn't going to cut it. So here on the screen are some examples of what significant volunteer or community service experience might include. So a volunteer firefighter, maybe you are on a board of directors, maybe you're the bookkeeper at your church, or you are the coach for a Little League softball team. So those would be good examples of good volunteer experience. And it also might showcase some additional skills that maybe your employment history doesn't showcase. So if you were, let's say, a coach for a Little League team, well, that's a lot of leadership experience that you have developed in that position that you might not have with employment experience. One other thing that you can also now leave off of resumes is that statement that says references available upon request. We know that if we ask you for references, you're going to provide them to us. So you don't need to put that polite statement on your resume. As Terrence mentioned, we're trying to keep resumes to a page or two. So we really need to utilize that valuable resume real estate space. So anything that isn't going to be relevant or make you stand out, go ahead and leave off and really focus on the areas that we've discussed today.
All right, so we're going to move a little bit into, move away from the resume, move into the interview prep piece. Again, these are just quick tips that we want to go over with you. Some of the interviewing prep or the tips we can give. First of all, research. What are the primary functions of the positions? When you look at a job posting or a job position, you want to study the requirements, the necessary skill sets, the responsibilities and duties, and even the preferred requirements and qualifications as well. You want to look at those things because those are the things that you're going to be asked about, and you should be prepared when you walk into that interview to be able to talk about how your experience aligns with all those things that that have been mentioned in the job description or in the job posting itself. The other thing you should do going into an interview is find out as much as possible about the organization that you're interviewing with. A lot of times, there are a lot of folks that don't do that. They focus on the job itself, which is good, but there's another piece of that because you're going to work for that company. A lot of times I'll ask the question, well, what do you know about Louisville Water? Tell me what you know about Louisville Water. And if you have some understanding and background, you can say, well, I know, Louisville Water has been around for 160 years as of this Friday. Louisville Water has been around for 160 years. You guys, have X number of filtration facilities. You guys done this, X, Y, and Z, or whatever company. Okay, that shows initiative. That shows that you will do your homework. You will you'll take the opportunity to prep. Anticipate what you believe the interviewer wants to learn about you, okay? You want to be sure that when you walk into that interview, that you're prepared to answer pretty much any question that they ask about your work experience, your education, what are things that you like to look for in an organization. You know, what structure do you work best under? These are questions that get thrown at individuals. And I've seen questions such as, well, tell me what's the best management style do you work under? I mean, this is about you. You need to be able to answer those questions. Assess, think about your skills, abilities, and accomplishments. You know, you want to be sure that you're aligning those with the job. We kind of talked about that, I actually mentioned that as well. Prepare answers. You know that there will be specific questions asked about you. Again, go back to the job description, go back to the advertisement. These are going to be questions asked of you. So those are the technical pieces. Then they're going to go into some of the soft skills that Spencer or Bruce mentioned earlier this morning. Some of the soft skill questions, such as working within a team environment. Tell me about a time when you led a project. Tell me about a time when you had a discussion with your manager about X, Y, and Z. Those are kind of the soft skills. So be prepared to answer those questions as well. Prepare questions. As it states, interviewing is a two-way street. You always want to have questions, whether those questions are about the expectations. I think it's always good to, even if it's explained to you, follow up as it relates to the expectations for that particular job that they are interviewing you for. Ask questions about the environment, the culture. Is this a good fit for you? You're trying to find out as much as you can about an organization. And if you talk just about the technical piece of the job, maybe there are other things that you should be aware of too that helps you understand this is the best fit. Is this an organization that is active in the community? Maybe that's something that's the best fit for you. Is there development opportunities within this organization, promotional opportunities within this organization, benefits? Ask questions about benefits as it relates to the insurances and all those things when they may or may not become effective. Always good to have questions, and quite frankly, employers, potential employees like it when you have questions for them. And then practice. Be sure you practice. And as it states there, it may seem awkward, but it's the best way that you do come across well, and you become a whole lot more comfortable. I've spoken with individuals every time internally here at Louisville Water, and they're going to go into an interview, and they will say, I am nervous. And I'm like, well, why are you nervous? But interviewing for most people makes them nervous. But if you have experience and you practice that, practice mock interviews with a friend or a family member, or go into a situation where you're just talking to a mirror, answering questions or asking questions. Record yourself. Everyone pretty much have cell phones. You can record yourself. All these things, believe it or not, strengthen your interviewing skills.
So what types of interviews might you encounter? Well, there's all kinds of going on right now with COVID. So panel interviews, you might get invited to a panel interview, and that's where there are more than one person interviewing you. So it could be somewhere between, 2 and 6 interviewers there at your interview asking you questions and talk about a stressful situation. But when your interview is scheduled and arranged, if they don't tell you, ask. How many people am I going to be meeting with? Who am I interviewing with? So that you can prepare yourself if you were to encounter a panel interview situation. I think all 3 utilities organizations that are here today are probably relying pretty heavily right now on video interviews. That's the big thing going on. And so be prepared. The Louisville Urban League gave some excellent tips earlier this morning about how to prepare for video interviews. You might also have a phone interview. So this is where you might just be on the phone with the recruiter or the hiring manager, just going over some preliminary questions, kind of like a screening type interview. You still need to approach it the same way you would any other interview. And a lot of companies, not just our utilities here today, but companies all over the country right now are really utilizing behavioral-based interviewing. So this is something that you can Google, learn about behavioral-based interviews, read examples of behavioral-based questions so that you can be prepared ahead of time.
All right, so virtual interviews, and as Ashley said, because of COVID, I mean, virtual interviews have become the norm. Initially, back in March, when COVID really kind of hit this area kind of hard, or our numbers started to go up initially, most organizations either kind of shut down the interviewing process, or they went to a virtual interviewing process. And those virtual interviews could be whether it's just on the phone, which is not virtual, but you can have a phone interview, or the virtual interview could be a video conference, whether it's through Zoom, which we're on today, or Microsoft Teams that I'm getting more and more used to as well. Those interviews, they're digital, and they have audio and video. And what you want to do is be sure that you have an appropriate place in your home if you're conducting that, or maybe if there are other opportunities for you to go to organizations that will set up a virtual interview office space for you. But if in your home, be sure that you have it in an appropriate area. You make sure it's quiet. It's a quiet setting, gives you an opportunity to speak freely. Now, the in-person interview, which is the first bullet point there, is the face-to-face. That's the more traditional interview. It's at the employer location predominantly. Sometimes they could be. I've been interviewed at restaurants before, but they could be on-site or off-site face-to-face interviews. Then phone interviews is pretty common as well. Normally they're pre-screening interviews when they're over the phone, where you may not have as much detailed questions asked of you. Maybe they're covering some of the high-level points of the position, or trying to get high-level points of your skills and experience based on your resume, and then using that as a reason to bring you in for a face-to-face interview, or conduct an interview beyond that in more detail, whether it's on-site or digitally. And it's that smile on the other end. Quite frankly, it is important, because when you are, it comes across, believe it or not. And you can have that with the inflection of your voice. It does come across. The other person on the other end can actually pick up on that. One of the things I probably need to learn is don't interrupt. I'm just kidding. So you really want to be sure that you allow the hiring manager or the HR person to lead the interview, and listen for those breaks in the conversation. Obviously, at the end of a question, you are being prompted to answer that question, but be sure not to jump in as much. I've actually been on interviews where a person, they're so excited, they're so nervous, they're just rattling off everything, and they're trying to get it all in. And actually, that was a negative for that individual, where they could use some interviewing tips. But you want to be sure that you look for those breaks in the conversation, or you look for those cues to tell you when to jump in, or when to respond, or actually to use the active listening skills.
Now I'm really making sure I don't interrupt Terrence when I move on. All right. So let's talk about the actual interview. You might be in a situation where you may know someone who is actually interviewing you, especially if you're interviewing within your own company, maybe for a promotion or advancement opportunity. Don't just assume that they know your skill set and experience. Don't rely on those relationships. Don't sell yourself short. So always make sure that you go in and showcase those skills and abilities and experience that you're able to bring to the table. We've mentioned behavioral-based interviewing. So what is that really? Well, that's a way for us to evaluate a candidate's experience and behaviors, something that they have done in the past, as a way for us to determine their potential for success. How are they going to behave in the future, maybe with us as an employee? So questions, behavioral-based questions, are typically not framed as a question. So they might start out something like, tell us about a time, or describe a situation. So that's your tip-off to know, oh, they're asking me a behavioral-based question. So I need to be able to provide a good example for that question. Interview examples need to be specific and detailed. and they really should last less than 3 minutes. So if you have an example that is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's too long. I say we live in a TikTok world right now, and I tell you, our attention span is 30 seconds pretty much, right? So you got to think about, you don't want those interview panelists to glaze over and not listen. So make sure your responses are very specific and detailed. And that's really going to come from what Terrence said before, practice. Prepare those examples, have them ready to go so that when you're sitting there, you're not talking and kind of going off and trying to think about an example. You've got it ready to go, specific and detailed, less than 3 minutes.
So speaking of behavior-based interview questions or behavior-based interviews, behavior-based interviews have been around for a while. They're not new, but there's still a lot of people that really haven't experienced a behavioral-based interview. A behavioral-based interview, as Ashley mentioned, it is a structure that is used because the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So they're looking for examples of what you've done in the past in certain situations. That way, if you provide them with that example, it's a full story, and we'll talk about a STAR, and Ashley will talk about that in a moment and what that is. But what you're looking to do is to tell a full story in a very short period of time. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out, as she mentioned. And some of those questions entail, such as, tell us about a time when you improved the process, okay? That is a situation for you to almost sell yourself in terms of what was it? What did you do? What were your actions? And what was the result of that? And you can do that in less than 2 minutes. It'll take me 10, but you can do that in less than 2 minutes. Describe a time when you provided excellent customer service. So you want to have some examples in your head walking into interviews thinking, they're going to ask me tell me about a time when did you do this? Give me an example when you had to make a decision very quickly under pressure. How did you approach it? How did it work out? All these things are questions that allow you to pretty much to construct a story that is clear, quick, concise, but also has a positive impact that you're hoping. Now, I'm gonna flip that over just a little bit. Sometimes the question may be, tell me about a time when you failed, okay? Be prepared to have those questions, be prepared to have those answers. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, because what you can do is turn it into an opportunity to say, this is what I've learned from it, okay? So there's a lot of opportunity for behavior-based interview questions to help you even build your brand even more, which Lynn talked about earlier. That helps you build your brand even more with the interviewer.
So, this is a lot of information. How do you prepare these answers? Well, the best method, I tell you, this is a no-fail way to approach it. And the Louisville Urban League talked about this. So this is what you need to take away. You need to use what we call the STAR method. So, put a little note on your desk, write STAR when you go into the interview, have it there as a visual reminder that that's how you need to answer these questions. So the S stands for the situation or event. Just briefly describe a little bit of the backstory, right? You don't need to go into a whole lot of detail about what the weather was that day or what your coworker was wearing, right? So just a little bit of the backstory, just set the stage. And then the T stands for task. So what needed to be done? A stands for action. What is it that you specifically did? Now remember, this is about you. So a lot of people go into interviews and they say we. Well, we did this and we did that, and then we all the way home, and they don't get the interview because then we never know really what your role was in this because you used we the whole time. So I realize sometimes it's uncomfortable to say, I did this, I was responsible, but in an interview, you do need to sell yourself. Now you can say, we were on a team, my role was. So you're still giving credit to your coworkers and the team, but you do need to focus on your role and your action in the example. And then the last piece, the piece that so many people tend to forget is the result. How did it work out? Don't leave us hanging, right? So always make sure to tell us the result. And as Terrence mentioned, sometimes the result might not necessarily be a great outcome, and that's okay. But you have the ability then to tell us maybe how you learned from that experience as a result. So the STAR method, this is your no-fail way to be able to answer a question in an interview.
Right. And to get back to the STAR just a little bit, one of the other things I wanted just to insert in here with the STAR, you want to be sure that you give a full star, F-U-L-L. Because I've seen interviewees give a partial star. They'll give me the situation, and they may give me the action but no result, or maybe they'll give me the situation and the result, but not talk about the action. So you want to be sure to give a full star, and you don't want to give a hypothetical as well. You don't want to give a false star. So be sure that you're giving truthful, accurate, full information in a very short and concise and manner that can be easily followed. So just a quick little tip there as well. I remember that from the training 100 years ago. So, how does the job description relate to the interview questions you may get asked? Well, if you look at the job description, one of the things that's a very good tip, be sure when you review a job description, look for the specific roles that are stated in the job duties or the job description. For example, you see the things that are highlighted in yellow in this particular job description. It says assist in and in the coordination of activities associated with training, the training courses. So you can assume they're going to look for that experience from you, whether it's in your resume or not, but that is going to be a question that's going to be asked of you as it relates to organization and planning. Okay, so look for the specific roles or the specific actions that are listed in job descriptions or job postings, and prepare yourself to answer, not just prepare the interview, the resume to align with those job descriptions, but make sure your answers are two questions align as well. So I'm going to be really quick because I know we're probably getting close on time. But I just want to be sure that look at the specific duties and responsibilities and those active duties and responsibilities and be prepared to answer those questions.
All right. So without a doubt, you're probably always going to get asked, what do you consider your strengths and your weaknesses? So this is something that you absolutely can prepare in advance. So when it says, what do you consider your strengths? Don't list things that can be generic that every single one of us here today can say. We're all going to say we're good at teamwork. We're all going to say we're good at communication, right? So is that really a strength if that's something that all of us can say? Well, so the way to get beyond that is if you do want to say you're good at communication, well, then I say follow that up with a mini example, right? Give us a mini example of how communication is truly a strength of yours. Maybe you have given presentations to over 100 people regularly during new employment orientation, or that you train all of the new folks that join your company. What do you consider your weakness? They're going to ask you this. So interview day at the table is not the time for you to start thinking about your weaknesses, all right? So you need to think about this in advance, and it doesn't have to be a very personal thing, right? So you don't have to say, oh, I tend to be late all of the time. Yo, we don't want to hear that weakness, right? So instead, this is where the job description is going to be helpful. So maybe in the preferred qualifications, it says that they would prefer someone with 2 years of Microsoft Excel experience, right? That's a preference that they have. It's not a must-have, but they would like it. Well, let's say you only have 1 year of Microsoft Excel experience. So you could say, I noticed in the job description you would prefer someone with 2 years of Microsoft Excel experience. I only have 1 year of experience, so I am weak in that area, but I am willing to learn, watch YouTube, Google. I'm a quick study. That is something I definitely feel like I can build upon. So weakness doesn't always have to be a personal thing. Why should we hire you for this position? Going to go back to Lynn's branding presentation that she did earlier. She talked about that elevator pitch. Louisville Urban League talked about that elevator pitch. This is the time to sell yourself. So you want to make sure that you've got a really good reason why you are the one for the job. And as so many of us mentioned today, if they ask you what questions you have, you need to have some. And as Terrence mentioned, it's a two-way street. So think about what are questions that you could ask that are going to help you determine if this truly is the employer for you, right? So maybe you want to ask about the culture. Is remote work going to be an option during this time, or are you going to be required to go into the office? Because a lot of us have kiddos at home and we're doing double duty as teacher and employee. So if it is important for you to have to work remotely, you want to be sure to ask about that. So Terrence, any other questions that people should maybe pose to the interview panel?
Well, one of the things that I'm going to go back to, why should we hire you question for this position? This is the opportunity for you to go back and recap. So if you were prepared and you've answered all the questions in detail, you provide all the stars to each question that was asked of you, the behavioral-based questions, you align your answers to the job description or the job duties, then you go back and almost refresh the interviewer that you are aligned and you're a great match to all of those things that you've asked me. You are a great match to the job description. If you look at my resume, it's a great match. The answer I've given you, all these things that you've mentioned, I am a perfect alignment for that particular position. So, that's an opportunity for you to go back and say, yes, from all the things that I've reviewed about the organization, the job, my responses, my examples, you want them to really realize that, yes, I am a great fit and you definitely should hire me.
All right, well, I think that covers our section. I don't know if we have time for questions or not, but I know that Terrence and I would be open to helping clarify anything we've covered today.
Thank you both. You did an amazing job. We did have just a few questions. We are running a few minutes over, but I did want to get a few questions in. One of the questions that we had come in is, let's see, how far back would you recommend that a job seeker go back on their professional or civic involvement?
I can jump if you want. Again, I'm trying to practice not interrupting, so which I'm very, that's a weakness, okay? I want everyone to understand that's a weakness. No, I think you go back at least 10 years because it all depends. If you are applying for a position with an organization, part of their culture is community involvement, or whether you're applying for a position with a nonprofit organization, you want to kind of talk about all of your volunteerism, your civic activities, your philanthropy, maybe. I don't know if there's really a cutoff. I would say 10 years is a good round number, but it all depends.
Thank you for that response, Terrence. Very helpful. So that will conclude our presentation on tools for success. I hope it was as helpful for you as it was for me. We will now be moving on to our last session, and it's a quick 15-minute session from Ms. Angela Wilson. She is Director of Career Services at Kentuckiana Works. Ms. Wilson, thank you for standing by. We're running a few minutes over, but it was very informative information that we received, and we will receive the same from you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know that we are nearing the end of it, so I'll try to provide a high-level overview and definitely some contact information to follow up. I don't want to stand between you and lunch that usually takes place after that. So I actually had a short PowerPoint presentation. Is there any way I can just go ahead and try to share my screen? If not, I'll just
Absolutely.
talk.
Yes.
Okay, just a second. Okay, yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm trying to make it bigger, but this little thing is in the way. Oh, here we go. Bye-bye. There we go. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Angela Wilson, Program Director for Kentuckiana Works. I really just focus on the adult career services. And so that includes a lot of different contracts, but just really overall working with a lot of different programs in the Kentucky Career Center that focuses on individuals that are 18 and over. So here we go. All right, so a few things I want to talk about very briefly is just making sure everybody has a good understanding about what the Kentucky Career Center is, what type of help you can receive within at our KCCs. Talk a little bit about locations. I know that's a little bit pre-COVID, but just want to talk about really so you have a good understanding of how many people we reach within our 7-county region and how to get connected with us. So if you were to go on the state website, there's a very formal description of what is the Kentucky Career Center. And so that says Kentuckiana Works and its partners operate career centers and mobile career services in the region that offers a variety of free resources to job seekers. Mouthful, right? My best definition that I like to hear about the Kentucky Career Center is when I talk to someone and I'm wearing my polo shirt and they say, oh, that's the place downtown, right? That I can go and somebody can help me find a job. Yes, that's the Kentucky Career Center, right? Another example would be, oh yeah, over at the NIA Center, right? They got that, I can go in there and I can use the computers and somebody will help me print out a resume. Yes, that's the Kentucky Career Center. So really we are a place where we offer free assistance. Now, overarching the Kentucky Career Center's focuses on 3 things, right? We have a prong that focuses on career, another prong that focuses on training, and our third prong, we focus on employers. So I just want to spend a little bit of time kind of deep diving about those 3. But before I do that, let's talk a little bit about where they're located. We do have 2 specific career centers that are focused on sectors. So one of them is the KMCC, which is the Kentucky Manufacturing Career Center, which is located in South Louisville. And so anybody interested in manufacturing, we definitely have a location that is focused 100% on those wanting to move into that career. Again, I mentioned the one over at the NIA Center off of 29th and Broadway. Our largest location, which is our comprehensive center, is the one downtown. We do actually have a very small office in Shelby County. We do have an office located in Henry County at the Hope Center. It's not officially open, but we're we are seeing folks on a one-on-one basis. And for those that don't have live in the regions that we just spoke about, we do have a mobile service, right? These are individuals that I love because they meet people where they are. They're at the libraries, they're at other communal places. And it's actually because of mobile services that we were able to switch so quickly to virtual services to help all people in our community that couldn't go to our brick and mortars, right? Our team over at the mobile services have been working with people virtually for a very long time. So we did look to them for some of the best practices. Last but not least, right? We're in pandemic COVID-19. So how you can connect with us is by visiting this website, and give me just a second and I'll show you a little bit about how you can connect with us virtually. Okay, so I wanted to focus a little bit on the job seeker resources, right? You're here, you're listening, Kentucky Career Center, how can I help? So when it comes to the career services, we have experienced case managers that are working in our centers that are working with, that's part of our team that's helping you. Our case managers have a variety of certifications. One of them is certified resume writers. We have several of those within our system. We also have some certified workforce professional development professionals within our system as well. So You are going to be talking to people that are really invested and care about your success. What else we offer is we have a variety of workshops. Okay, we have one set of workshops I'm titled Intro to Industry Careers, right? So if you're interested, obviously, in utilities, healthcare, businesses, we are able to made with the employer's input. We also have workshops for interview processes, job search strategies, and one of our newest, I like to say our newest shining resource is a platform called Career Edge. Career Edge is a platform, and it is really helping people during this virtual time. I heard Terrence talk about interviewing and the way you interview with employers during this time. Career Edge has a great feature where you can practice recording your answers to an interview, right? And so we actually have staff that have pre-recorded some interview questions, and you get to have a mock interview in practice, and you can record yourself several times over until you feel like you have it right. Right? I find myself as a seasoned professional, but when I was looking for work and I had to do job interview virtually, I was nervous, right? So I'm like, even at my stage, I find it to be a very, very beneficial resource that we have in events, right? Coming to Comprehensive Town, and tables all over the place. Obviously, that's something we can't do. And so we transitioned to doing virtual hire events. We're actually using Career Edge platform for that. We have employers that are in certain rooms, and we're having the job seeker come and take join those rooms. And that's how we're doing virtual hiring events, right? So hiring is still happening, it's still going on, so we can definitely connect you with that. When it comes to some of the training offerings, we offer free training when it comes to manufacturing, construction, code, and tech jobs. We do have access to a lot of the jobs that take place at MSD, LG&E. We know that you guys are great partners, and our employer services team work with you, I know, in a great deal. We also have scholarships when available to help people pay for additional certifications, or maybe there's a training for that might enhance a certain skill to kind of get their foot in the door. So again, not only can we help you with job searching, also help you with financial assistance when available. All right, so a little here. Website has so much great information, and it's really stop shop. Here we go. Here, I'll just go to this one. So boom, at the very top of the banner.
So it looks like we have lost Angela. She did a great presentation and provided a lot of helpful information on Kentucky Works and the adult career services and the offerings. I had no idea of all the offerings that you guys provide, so I really appreciate it. That concludes our event, Mr. Sean Adams with LG&E. If you could come forward and close us out, please.
Can you guys hear?
Sean, you're on mute. We can hear you now. Sean, we're unable to hear you.
Not because we ran over time, that they shut the mic off on us.
No, it's still running.
I'm just kidding.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Sean.
Okay, I have no clue what happened, but Murphy's playing well technology today. So just as I was saying, just, today was a great day. Just a lot of great information and discussion that you were able to hear from the utilities professionals, some of those folks within the community. We want to thank you for attending today's workforce development discussion on sharpening your skills. And we really appreciate the mayor, Mayor Fisher and Commissioner Jackson, and the executive leadership from Louisville MSD, Louisville Water Company, Louisville Gas and Electric, the Urban League, and Kentucky at Works, taking time out of their day to just provide you some information and updates and insights and all those things. And to Sharice and Terrence, Lynn, Kelly, Ashley, and several of the others on the team that helped put this event together, just thanks for your time, assistance, efforts, and your passion for ensuring that we're helping the community on a daily basis. As iron sharpens iron, I hope that you were able to sharpen your skills, and we hope you were able to learn a little more about the opportunities within each of our companies and how to become one of the 1.7 million people employed in the utility industry across the United States. We wish each of you a great day. Thanks for taking a little time to learn about what we do and how you could seek jobs and opportunities with us. And if I leave you with one final thing, get out and vote. Peace.
Thank you all. Have a great day, and thanks for sticking with us.
I want to be sure we not forget Whitney as well. So.
Oh, yes,
Hey,
absolutely.
I am unimportant. Don't worry about it.
Mr. Allen has been very important to our task force. We appreciate you joining us.
And thank you
Take
to
care,
our
everyone.
host. I want to say thank you to our host, Sharice.
Thank you. Talk soon. Talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.